Thank you for joining me on Project Statistics YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about repeated measures ANOVA in SPSS. So we are going to cover different topics, but today we are going to have the basics of repeated measures ANOVA in SPSS, where we talk about the scenarios where you can use repeated measures within subject factors and between subject factors. So we also have another videos that you can also watch in one way repeated measures, two ways, and mixed design repeated measures. First of all, what is repeated measures ANOVA? It involves repeated measures of a response variable on each subject. When you have repetition of a response variable on a particular subject, this particular analytical tool is used to analyze data where the same subject is measured multiple times under different conditions or over time. Normally, researchers typically adopt repeated measures paradigm as a means of reducing error variability and also as a natural way of measuring certain phenomena, for example, developmental changes over time. And when dealing with repeated measures ANOVA, you have to know that the dependent variable is always continuous and the independent variable is always categorical, and it can also be it can represent either a time point or a condition. It can help to dictate significant differences over time and under different conditions. So repeated measure is widely used in SPS, in sciences to carry out research analysis. So I'm going to give us some scenario on where to deploy repeated measures ANOVA, and it will help you to understand when to deploy it and different situations where it can occur. First of all, a situation where a researcher wants to analyze how stock market returns change over three different economic conditions. We have the pre-crisis, we have the crisis, we also have the post-crisis. So they collect returns from the same companies under these three conditions. Please, you need to be aware that this is a situation where you collect responses from the same company, you collect responses from the same companies under three different conditions. Repeated measure ANOVA will test if there is a significant difference in returns across these three conditions. There are about three different scenarios for using repeated measures ANOVA. Three different scenarios. The first one is one-way repeated measures ANOVA, and the second one is two-way repeated measures ANOVA. We also have the mixed design repeated measures ANOVA. Now let me explain the first one, which is the one-way repeated measures ANOVA. This tests for difference across multiple time points or conditions for one independent variable. Now, what it means is that you have you have one independent variable in a one-way repeated measures ANOVA. When your independent variable is only one, then you are dealing with one-way repeated measures ANOVA. For example, a financial analyst measures the stock returns of the same 10 companies under three market conditions. These are the three market conditions: pre-crisis, crisis, and post-crisis. So here is the design. You, you measure different returns. You see stock return one under this post, stock return. So as as the market condition changes, you take measurement of the stock for each market condition. You take response. So this is the design, and then the dependent variable is your returns, while the independent variable is your market condition. And measurement is taken for the same 10 companies. So we have just one group of 10 companies belonging to just one group. So that's an example of this one-way repeated measures ANOVA. Now, the null hypothesis state that there is no significant difference in stock return across the three market conditions. We use one-way repeated measures ANOVA when there is one within subject factor. One within subject factor. That is when our independent variable is just one. One within subject factor. The subjects are the same, which means the same 10 companies are being measured, are used to carry out the experiment. So there is no between subjects effect. What it means here is that the subject involved in the experiment is just in one group. We are not comparing one group of subjects to another group of subjects. So we are only having one group of 10 companies. So because of that, you cannot have between subject effects because we don't have more than one group of companies. We only have one group of subjects. So you cannot have between subjects when you only have one group of 10 companies. So that is why we cannot have between subject effects in one-way repeated measures ANOVA. Now let me take you to the two-way repeated measures ANOVA. This is used to analyze the effect of two independent variables on a dependent variable. The effect of two independent variables on a dependent variable. So here, two-way repeated measures ANOVA is when your independent variable is uh, is uh, is more than one, when the independent variable is more than one. So in a two-way repeated measures ANOVA, we have a situation where we can have the both factors being within subjects. The both factors can be both within subjects. And we also have another scenario where we can have one of them being within subject factor and one of them being between subject factor, depending on your design. So here is the first one, the example of two-way repeated measures ANOVA with two within subject factors. Two within subject factors. What it means here is that um, the two factors are going to be within subjects. So a researcher examines investment performance of the same 10 investors under, the first one is under three market conditions and two asset classes. You see, here now we have two independent variables, market condition and asset class. That is why it is a two-way repeated measures ANOVA. We are investigating performance of the same 10 investors under two conditions, two independent variable. Unlike the first one we did, where we only have market condition against returns. But this one, we have market condition and asset class against investment performance, which is returns. So that this is the difference between the first one, which is the a one-way repeated measures ANOVA and a two-way repeated measures, because you are now using two conditions, which is two independent variables, unlike the first one you use only one dependent variable. So this is how. So we have two within subject factors, and those two factors are within subject. Market condition is a within subject factor. um, Asset class is also a within subject factor. Then our dependent variable is our returns. So this is a typical how you can design it so that you understand it properly. You see our asset class here, two, the first factor, and we have another factor inside it. We have market condition that has three levels too under these two conditions. So our independent variable is actually two different factors. We have two within subject factors and group one group of 10 investors. So why we have within two within group factors is that we are testing only one group of 10 investors. We don't have a second group of investors that we can compare. That's why they are all within subjects. I just want you to understand the meaning of within subjects. Within subjects is when you are dealing with only one group of individuals. One group of individuals. The experiment is performed under um, one group of individuals. Even if it is 10 investors, those 10 investors are in one group. There is no another category of investors. So that is why you cannot have between subjects effects in such situations. So here now is investment performance by market condition and asset class. So here is the two independent variables. So for the two-way using the null hypothesis can be market condition does not have significant effect on return. Market asset type does not have a significant effect on returns. There is no interaction effect between market condition and the asset class. So this is a typical hypothesis test for a two-way repeated measures ANOVA. Now there is another example where you are two-way repeated measures ANOVA can be one within group factor and the one between group factor. So a situation like this, you are you are your work now, you are going to have repeated measures ANOVA. Being the variables involved are, you can have the one for within group factor and between group factor. Why do we have one between group factor? Because we are going to have subjects that are divided into two groups. We are going to have anytime you have between subject factor, that means the subjects or the individuals involved in the experiment is divided into two groups. That is when you normally have between subject factors. But if all the individuals involved in the experiment is in one group, even if there are 10 in that group, but they're in one group of 10 persons, that is when you have within group subjects. In that situation, you are not going to have between group subjects. So here, an effectiveness of threading strategy experiment here. Here we have three threading strategies, strategy 1, 2, 3. So these three are within subject factors. And two threaders experience level, novice and expert. So you see that our subject now, traders, who individuals involved in the experiment are divided into two groups, which is novice and the experts. novice and expert. So that is when between subject factor can be considered. So here, some of the possible hypothesis tests is that the effectiveness of trading strategy does not vary across experience level. Yes, effectiveness does not vary across, and this is the main effect of strategy. The main effect of strategy. Then the other one is effectiveness does not affect the trader's experience, which is main effect of experience. Does certain strategies work better for experts or novice? There is no significant interaction between strategy and experience. There is no significant interaction between strategy and experience. So that is a two-way repeated measures ANOVA that has one within group subjects and one between subject factor. So a situation like that, your individual must be in two different groups. So in summary, I want to discuss the key differences between one-way and two-way repeated measures ANOVA. The first one I have already mentioned here earlier on is that one-way repeated measures ANOVA has one within subject factor. It has one within subject factor, which is measuring stock return over 3 time period. And it does not have interaction effects because it's only one independent variable that is involved in it. One-way repeated measures does not have interaction effect, so you cannot measure any interaction effect because your independent variable is only one, and only one factor effect. Yes, you can only have a factor effect but no interaction effect. You can only have one factor effect, no interaction effect. For two-way repeated measures ANOVA, we have two factors, two independent variables are involved. As I said earlier on, the two can be both within group or within subject effect, or one can be within subject and the other can be between subjects effect. Measuring stock return over 3 time period and across two asset classes. So here we have two within subject subject factors. In other words, two independent variables are always involved in a two-way repeated measures ANOVA. Two independent variables that are giving us two within group within subject effects or within subject factors. There is an interaction effect. Yes, there is an interaction effect because the two factors are going to interact between each other. So you have to measure the interaction effect of both factor, and also this one you can have factor effects and the interaction effect. Now we have the third one, which is known as the mixed design repeated measures ANOVA. It is also called the split plot ANOVA. It is called the split plot ANOVA. This one you have two within subject factors and one between subject factors. So factors where the same subject are measured multiple times, then a factor where different group of individuals are compared. You see, when you have two individual two groups being compared, so anytime their subjects are of two different groups, that is when between subject factor comes to play. And remember, the dependent variable is always continuous variable. It's good you know how all these designs are so that you will know the appropriate one you are doing at any point in time, because knowing where you are helps you to really do your analysis and understand these things very well. So let me give you a scenario of how we can carry out mixed design. How we can carry out mixed design. We have a researcher studies investment performance based on market condition, asset class, and investor experience. You see, the three of them come to play now. The three of them come to play. So we have our investors now being divided into two groups of individuals. That is where between subject factor comes in. When you are when the individuals in the experiment are divided into two groups, novice and experts group, that is where between subject factor comes in. Then these other two are going to be the within subject factors, within subject factor 1 and within subject factor 2, which is our market condition and stock return. So this is a situation where you have mixed design. You have two within subject factors and the one between subject factor. So that is how you understand this one. So some of the hypothesis or research question that can be asked in a mixed design is that: one, do investment returns vary across market conditions? So this is a main effect of market condition, which is a within subject effect. Do investment return differ between stock and bond? This is main effect of asset type, which is also a within subject effect. Do investment returns differ based on experience level? This is also a main effect of experience, which is also a within subject effect. Does the effect of market condition depend on asset class? So here now you are interacting between the two. There is this interaction effect between between market condition and asset class. Then we also have does investor experience influence how market condition and asset class affect returns? So this is a three-way interaction where you now have market condition, asset type, and experience level. So generally, this is how your hypothesis research question will look like when you are running um, a mixed design repeated measures ANOVA.